There you go. And welcome to the Zoom of Mega Creation and creating beyond your limitations using the amazing tools of Access Consciousness and your awareness to create anything in your life. Because for me, truly anything's possible. If I would say you will create everything, well, some things you won't like to create, some things you don't want in your life, so why would you bother? And there's lots of things that you would like to have in your life, but we have some kind of interesting point of view that is between us and the creation or the thing you'd like to have in your life. We have interesting, really truly interesting point of views about creation, about possibilities, about things we can or cannot have in our lives. And those are usually something we've learned or experienced, seen, heard. It doesn't mean they're real or they're true today. They were something, but it is the past. It must not necessarily relate to you. And what I see when people start creating is they gather all this information and make it possible or not. So they often, when I talk to people or coach people, what shows up is often the information, the judgments, the points of views, what is not possible. I'm like, really? Come on, guys. What if you really never gave up on the things you really would like to create? No matter if you have 10,000 things that look like they would not work for you. Because if there's something that makes you super happy, that you don't want to stop smiling, you don't want to stop creating or doing things, there's something for you. There's a gift for you, and there's a gift you can be in the world. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any awareness. If you allow whatever thought, feeling, experience to be a thing to not choose it, that's what you're choosing that. It's truly a choice to create, always. It's truly a choice to create. It's not, oh, it doesn't work because blah, 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 blah. That's a choice not to create. And my favorite thing to say in that moment when I make something real is, what if it wasn't so? What would I choose? And that's Stephen Bowman in my head. What if it truly wasn't so? What would I choose? Because if I consider it from some different angle, how would it look like then? But I have to be willing to at least ask the question or look at it or wonder, because then things will bubble and come up in a different way. Because there is not only one way. I coached two of my clients today, and it was so much fun. And she gave me a whole list why something was hard. And I said, hey, you have the recordings. Re-listen to this, write them all down, and for every problem or thing, please write down at least 3 possibilities out of this problem, because every problem is a possibility with a judgment attached. So there is tons of possibilities with every problem. So one of my clients said, in her city, there's a lot of people, that say bars doesn't work. I'm like, how many? Who? She mentioned somebody, and I was like, well, that's awesome. You could create from that. That's really brilliant. And she just looks at me. I'm like, this is really awesome. You can start talking about what bars created for you. You can invite more people to intros. You can have bar swap. Because I know when you create bar swaps, people get to experience bars. They get their bars run. If they do that on a regular basis, no matter if they do anything else, their lives will change. But I see it will have to be a little longer time. I remember doing with my ex 2 years bar swaps in Helsingborg here, 2 times per month for free. Because we wanted to see what happens with the world if people get their bars run. So and then also marketing for who we are and how we facilitate, and they get to know us. But truly, we wanted to see what happens when people get their bars run regularly, because we knew it worked, but it doesn't matter, or doesn't mean that it will work with everybody. But we did that for 2 years for free. And I was like, and then we charge a little bit. But it wasn't because we wanted the money. It was really to create something different. For 2 years, and I can say those 2 years, super excited, and we had a full house in just the first months, maybe not, because there wasn't a lot of people in Helsingborg that were doing bars. It was truly just the newest thing, and it just arrived. But after a while, we had about 30 people every bar swap, and that was our limitation in that venue. And that was easy for us, so we kept it there. Otherwise, I think we might have had a bunch of people. But when we started charging, they didn't really care that we charged so little, but it was more like a symbolic thing. But that was just a choice. But what I saw is this willingness to use everything to your advantage. So if you hear something negative, what would happen if you just swapped it around and look at the possibilities from it? Because there's always a possibility. So basically, every judgment you have, every negative thought, every limitation you think that is real, if you would look at it, what are truly the possibilities with that? And are you willing to go into action with the possibilities? Or would you be honest and see, hey, maybe I don't want to create this. Maybe I'm holding a limitation in place to stop myself, to not choose this, because maybe I don't want to choose it. That can also be true. And that's basically just being honest with yourself. Because it's okay. The only thing would not be so fun if you're basically lying to yourself, because that will stop you. That would truly not you. It's hard to get out of a lie, and that's when it often feels like weird. And it's okay if you don't want to do something. I rather say no, I don't want to, and then get over myself, and then choose something else, than be stuck in something I think I would like. So everywhere you think you'd like something, but you might want something else, can we just try and create that? Good and bad, right, wrong, put and pock, all nine shorts, boys, beyond. Because often we have ideal things, utopian ideal, you might know the book, ideas of things, how it should look like, what I should desire. I'm on this planet. This is what I should be desiring if I want to success, or blah, 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 blah. And those are cliches. We sometimes don't even know them. But when we start asking questions, you might get the awareness that there's something more fun for you, because there's a lot that can be fun for you. Creation can be a lot of fun, until it's not. If you decide it's not, that's totally okay too, because that's also possible. If you're in the business of access consciousness, hey, there's so many possibilities. I've been talking to quite a lot of people lately because I'm looking to create things, and I coach quite a lot of people. And when I have this is the most fun thing in my world. So when I have a spot free that I say, oh, I can have a session there because I'm quite fully booked with a lot of things. Anytime I think, oh, I could have a session there, somebody calls me or contacts me the same day. And I was like, what? And I'm always like, really? This simple? How does it get any better than this? Am I willing to have it that simple? Am I willing to have a question, ask a question, and receive it? And I read about the golden planet. If you have done some access consciousness, Gary talks about the golden planet, and he saw where we were living in a different energy dimension planet, where you basically look at something, have a thought, and then it starts creating. That is the principle, like kind of the way you create. But if you have judgments or points of views about it, then that will stop it. And if we think this is possible, this is not possible, you again limit your possibilities. Because the universe will gift to you anything you desire if you don't have a point of view. If you're more like wondering, curious how that would look like, would that be fun? And in the beginning, sometimes you really need to create something, do something to get that moving in a direction instead of waiting for it. I never wait to create something, never. But when I ask a question and it shows up so quickly, I'm like, I didn't even get to post it on Facebook, kind of thing. I was like, this is hilarious. And then I do anything for anything I see, like where it doesn't create instantaneously. You need to say that word. God. I'm willing to do anything. And I sometimes can see that I still have a point of view. Oh God, that takes a lot of time, or there's something of that essence. And then if I ever have that, I'm like, oh, what if I didn't have that point of view? How would I create then? If I didn't need any force, if I didn't have to work hard, but I was always willing to work because it's fun. There's a difference, and I'm well trained on working hard, both from my parents and living in Germany. Yay! They know that to the degree that I am like astonished. There's other countries too, but that's the only way to work right, is if you work hard. So everything that is, can we just try and create that? Good and better at wrong, put and park online, sure, it's supposed to be on it. Often the opposite would be not to work at all, because you either work hard or to have free time. So you have kind of that weird balance. Instead of like, you can create at any time with a lot of fun, and you don't need a vacation from your creations. Your creation are creating so much energy and fun for you. You can choose to have a vacation. That's not the problem, but not due to the fact that you're exhausted, tired, or bored, or don't want to work. Because because work can be truly fun and exciting and get you engaged and get you like to do more things and want more things and have more playfulness. And I have some examples from what the horses contributed to me last weekend, where I'm like, I was like, almost like, really, you're kidding me, you know? You horses are showing me what creation means on a different level. I'm like, no, oh no, this is gonna be, and I was like, oh God, this is too much fun. I mean, a freaking horse shows me what choice in 10 seconds, well, it wasn't 10 seconds, it was 5 seconds, means, like truly energetically really creates. And I was like, okay, I thought I knew that, and I kind of do, but I also got aware where I was not willing just to choose, because there was, I have to choose the right thing, or I have to choose something that will create more. So I was seeing how much I use my mind to figure out a choice instead of choosing. So we were doing an exercise. I have to give you this example because it was very interesting. If you know anything about the horse world, this was very interesting. So I had one, she was a riding teacher, and I wanted to show her something that is an energetic work, not from a technique. So in the horse world, you can do groundwork with a horse, and you'll see it basically with a rope. You're doing exercise, walking or running around you, or other things. Now you can do this with rope, without rope, and lots of different possibilities. So I wanted to look at driving a horse with energy, and it's basically really moving the horse. And to the end, it was really funny because she had to, my horse is so energetic, so she had to basically contain the energy so Katja wouldn't go woo! And when she got there, she was holding the energy for Katja to move. And I was like, this is amazing. But she was then willing to be the energy of what's required. So while she was doing something, and I was like, hey, you need to choose something, she didn't really get it. So I kept on saying every 2-3 seconds, choice, 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 choice to her. And then she's like, oh, I have to choose, I have to choose. Every couple seconds I said that, she chose, the energy of the horse shifted. So anytime she chose, because you know how to do the exercise kind of thing, so you think, yeah, I have to do that. But during the doing, you have to choose along the way so that the creation gets in action all the way. Instead of, otherwise it's more like a conclusion of what you're doing. And when I was saying this loud, choice, 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 the energy participant was amazing, because there was a moment and a movement and a flow of total creation. And the horse was like, yes, yes, yes. And it was fascinating to see. I was like, oh, even the horse gets choice. But that's when I saw the horse it was not able to choose to go off and do something else, because anytime you chose, the horse engaged with you. Anytime you chose, the horse engaged. So the horse was definitely with you all the time. If you were not choosing, it would wander off. And I was like, wow. And through the whole weekend being with the horses and doing this was when I came here to Sweden, and just afterwards also, it was almost hard to not choose. And I was like, what? It was like anytime I was gonna avoid or stop or, oh, I can do this tomorrow, it was like, oh, and I was like, oh, now, poof, I did it. I was like, this is weird. It's so different. So it was like, choose now, choose now, choose now, choose now, choose now. So I'm like, and the movement of every creation goes like poof. And I was like, oh, 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 oh. So I was like, oh, every time I'm not choosing, it's not creating it. I was like, so I can go around and say, it doesn't work, I'm not doing anything, or it doesn't blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how many seconds have I not been choosing or avoiding to choose? Most likely all the time. And I was like, oh. And so anytime I start stagnating, basically I avoid looking at something or choosing something. I'm like, no, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. So I've just been grabbing things all the time. And the funny part is I have so much energy, I don't know what to do with myself. Almost like I go to bed super late, I wake up super early, I'm like, boink, and I'm like, this is different. And I have a lot of energy. You could have seen that this weekend. It was interesting to see when I facilitate and create with horses, I don't need a rest. I even joke with my participants because can we have a break? I'm like, you didn't pay for breaks. Why would we have a break? And I was like, oh, that was too funny in my head. So I definitely gave them a little bit of break, but I was like, if we don't have any points of view, we're like Duracell. We just have energy. There's no lack of it. It doesn't mean you have to be on constant like highs of it. So that your body will tell you when you need rest, but you won't get tired of your life. So if you're creating what you truly like, you never get tired of your life. Hey, hi Nick, wherever you are. I'm just reading the chat now. Oh, thank you, Nick. I'm so happy to meet you in Hannover. Yay. Yes, you can ask a question, Claudia.
Okay.
The break we need is from our mind. Yeah, most likely that, Vicky. So true. Yeah, mostly. I mean, there's physical things where your body would like to rest a little bit. Those are totally okay. But often we get very tired of not choosing, not creating our lives. Yes. Hi, Claudia. Go for it.
Hi. It's been quite an amazing experience that I've had in the last 24 hours. I read your post yesterday on Facebook with the translation. And before I could even blink an eye, my finger had already said, I can. And so I wrote to you. And this is something I've been considering for a while. And it was very interesting today to watch myself. It took me 4 friggin' hours to actually sit down. I found all sorts of things to do. To pack my suitcase, to go to the castle, to water my plants, to think about dinner, do a bit of Sudoku, you know. And then I realized it was a lot of entities that had stopped me actually from creating. Right, what I was choosing at that time.
But you also know that you're choosing the entities, so it's your choice, no?
Yes. Well, I told him to go away, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
And that was. And then it was a lot easier, and then there was a lot of bodily resistance, and I persevered. And after 2.5 hours of deleting it again, starting all over again, which was really an amazing experience. I wasn't angry or any kind of feelings. It was just interesting to watch my body to respond. And the more I let myself into what I was actually doing and having fun with it, it opened up a whole new space. And so this call tonight is really quite amazing because it coincides, right? With what you're talking about, because I kept on choosing again and again and again. And what would it feel? What would it be like to do it with ease? And what the frig is ease? I'm not having ease, and so it's toing and froing all the time. It was really amazing. So anyway, I've done it.
Oh, I love it, Claudia. It's a really good example. I mean, and you can find any excuse why you're not choosing it. Like anybody, you can say it's entities. Yeah, but it's you. Like you're an entity. You're like, this is where it was the entities. No, it was you. Like if we really would acknowledge that it's us all the time, nothing would be able to have more significance. And then the entity was just a poof. But it's really, truly you. And so if everybody was willing to go there and look like, hey, you're choosing everything that is in your life. And this is where I'm like, I never need to stop anything. But I must say that the horses, I'm very impressed. Every time I facilitate classes with them, they show me a totally different reality. Especially, they show me so much how the tools work. I mean, my dog does it constantly. But when you have a freaking horse in front of you showing it, it just amplifies things a little bit. I'm like, one of the horses did the same thing as Sinja does. Like Sinja does this poof poof on me or on the sofa when she wants something, and she can come up and hit me on the leg, and it's a dog, so it doesn't hurt. You know, the freaking horse did the same on me. I'm like, horsey, no, it doesn't. I do feel it. Hi, Nick. Hi. I do feel it more with the horse. The horse did the paw up and boof, and I was like, yes, you're getting your session now. You're getting it. But I was like, you don't have to do that. That does not work for me. But I found it so funny that the horses were doing the same expression as my dog. I'm like, this is too funny. They want it now and not wait. And that horse wanted an entity clearing. It was hilarious. You know, we came into the stable and I said, hey, I asked if they wanted to do, and we came up with doing entity clearings because they wanted to learn this. A lot of people had done it before. So then I asked which horse, and kind of everybody got that horse. So we went there. And the funny part with the whole conversation that I'm just going to mute, was that when we were going to grab that horse, the horse trainer came in and took that horse because it's going to go out for a ride with the group. And we're like, oh, and it passed by us. And when it was in the middle of the group, it stopped. It stopped. And it doesn't usually do that. They just go out and they know they're going to go riding. It just stopped. So Henry was like, what happened? I was like, I think it wants the session with us. And he's like, no, it has to work. I'm like, yeah. And I told the horse, you'll get a session later. You'll just get it later. I'm sorry. And it's fine. You don't have to pity the horse because it's not working. It's its job. It knows it. It's around there. It has an amazing life. there. Like that's paradise basically. And then we kind of lost track of it in the same day because we weren't around doing that with the horses. The next day when we came to the stable, there's only 8 boxes where they eat their breakfast. They're training them into the stables because they've been living outdoors for 3 or 4 years. 4 years now. 100% outdoors for 4 years now, and they created a stable so if the weather is too bad and other things, they can take them in. So they were basically being trained so they get their delicious food indoors at the moment. So they love running into the stable. You open the boxes, they go out, but they come back in again. So it's really funny with these horses. But when we came up to the stable, there's one box too little because my horse was there. There was one horse tied up directly when you look in, and I was like, oh, I know you. And that was the horse that we promised a session. So I was like, oh, hi, we promised you a session. Of course you're standing here for us. So we gave it a session. And when I came to the horse and did this, poof, poof, on me, I'm like, no. We're giving you the session. And when we're doing clearings, and this is the first time participants did entity clearing. So they were like not perfectly, but they're energetically matched, and we were shifting things. And the horse was with the back legs like stretching. And we're like, oh. And at the end of all the clearing, it stretched with all the front legs as well. I'm like, oh, I know you. You did that last class too. So it was showing how it was releasing everything, and it was super happy. It was so grateful for it. You could see it shift the energy. And that's where animals are very clear when things are changing. And I like it because our minds love judging that something doesn't work or it's not so good. So if you do something, very often you'll remember anything that you didn't like or were not happy about. And I was like, that's really not nice. We're not nice to ourselves. That's for sure. We judge ourselves. We love judging ourselves. We keep on doing it. We remember the bad stuff more than the good stuff. That's why it's really good to write down your creations, to sometimes look at it and see how amazing you are, because it has the tendencies to leave your brain. And if you would acknowledge the amazingness of what you create, because every day you create and choose amazing stuff, but you kind of not value it because it's so natural or you do it every day. And that's one thing is, hey, be willing to acknowledge what things you create. And I was like, if you're willing to be in that energy without proving anything, it's just a natural energy of creation. So what else is possible to create if you're willing just to see what you're creating, how amazing you are, and you have tons of possibilities all the time, tons. I talk a lot. Questions? Any problem you have, we can change it. Come on. Use me. I saw somebody in that. Wait a second. Kathy, you're here. Let's see if she shows up. So what are the infinite possibilities of creation that you're not willing to have, be, know, and receive? So everything that is continually destroyed and created. Get a med right round from the park all 9 shirts, boys, beyond. Iram, are you going to do something? Are you going to going to talk to me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. I just wanted to like put my phone to charge so I will not lose you.
That is good.
So yeah, I will ask. So geez. So I'm creating something. I am creating like a lot of things right at the moment, and like one of the creation is like it is like getting bigger and it's going, but like some way I was really love that thing too. I was really love to create this thing before, and now it's getting like somehow like frustrating, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I include people inside of the thing because like I don't want to do like all the things just by myself. And like all the things they are just like something like that. So how can I change it? And what's that like? What's that really?
What do you mean?
Because like before I had a smile on my face when I create these things, but now I was just like, oh shit.
What's the whole shit? What is that?
it is like maybe somehow like I don't want to be unsuccessful about that, something like that maybe.
So do you have a result in mind?
Oh yeah, I have.
So would you destroy and create where you have a little bit of more of a fixed result?
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
amount right wrong, put a book online shorts was. I usually say have a direction where you would like to go with your creations. Like you can have a result, but more a direction so you can allow it to change and contribute to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're result driven, it is more from this reality. So you will often not allow a contribution to show up if you have decided exactly how it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
Because magic is possible.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lisen. Yeah.
And if you have awareness about a project and you include more people, what I always look at, do I let go of my awareness because I want to include other people, or I keep still creating and moving forward with my awareness? Where do I go with the creation?
Yeah, that's the one thing. I just somehow left my awareness when I include people in the things. Yeah.
Because you got an idea. It doesn't mean that you'll know everything, but keep being there. It's like same if we were creating a class or something. Sometimes we put all the energy on a host or through the host instead of creating our classes. So, and that means that you have to diminish you for the host to be significant for you. You're like, why would you choose to do less or be less in the creations just because you have expectations on your host?
Yeah.
Everybody has an amazing capacity to create. Not everybody wants to create. And if you judge you cannot create, then you'll have to use all your energy against it.
I will listen this again.
How much are you using against your creation? How much energy do you use against your creation? To be Turkish or whatever you want to be, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm Turkish. It's just like I just don't get what is that, but yeah, it must be a lot.
Can we just try to create that then?
Yeah.
You better remember about online shirts, boys and beyonds.
What does that mean?
That's a good question. I don't exactly know what it means for you, but one of the things I notice from our brains is when we don't know the how, we kind of stop the possibilities.
Yeah.
Instead of asking questions, and allow things to be created.
Oh, I really don't get anything, but it sounds good. I feel so stupid.
We have recordings.
Great, good. I will listen this again.
I like it though.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see, okay, so there's infinite amount of energy. Usually we limit that a bit. But so if I don't believe I can be successful, or this is hard to create, and it's not.
Yeah.
The universe is super simple. So if I'm not, if I'm not congruent with what's truly possible, my energy needs to work so it basically adjusts to my point of view.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm using it against me.
I get it.
So if it takes some time, I have to be stopping everything, so it takes time. I don't see it, I don't hear it, it's not in an email, but energetically you'll have to do this a lot.
Yeah. Okay, great.
I think Stephen Bowman says it takes a lot of energy, or the most of your energy is used to not have money.
That's true. Ouch. It kind of hurts. Yeah.
It's not a fun one, and it's not cognitively, I can't explain it, but I was like, oh, yes, this is not good. So what would it take to change that? And if I was willing to use everything for my creations instead of against, or to prove, or to explain, or whatever, if I'm willing to use it for my creations towards in the direction, and we're willing to allow magic to show up, magic be part of, for me, magic is part of this world. That's my reality. It doesn't mean that my neighbor will agree on this. And I don't care. But the beautiful thing is then I have more space for my creations because I'll have them managed, she won't, or whoever. So there's a lot of space for you to create in this world because most people don't believe on it. So they're stuck in their limitation. And all the rest possibilities are just waiting for somebody to ask and be possibilities. So it's basically super easy if you haven't decided how it should be. If you have this, I need money too, well, sorry. And you have decided it's hard to create money, well, blah, blah. If you don't make money a problem, you'll create along the way. It can show up in many different ways.
That's so true. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I like this. This is fun. I'll just open the door for more questions now. Who has more questions? Who has another question? What if we did not make money the problem of creation or the source of creation? What would happen? Who else would like a boost? Come on, Pippa, let's create.
I would like to ask a question.
Hi, Linda. Yes.
Yes. Because isn't it so that you create no matter what? Even if you try to judge yourself, you might not be aware of what you are creating, but you're still creating.
Yes. I can create, it doesn't create.
Yeah. But so you have to be aware of what it is that you would like to create instead of what you would like not to create.
It would be preferable, yes.
Yeah.
Are you willing to know what you'd like to create?
Yes.
Because the thing is, like, we look often at creation, you need something very special, more significant. You need to find the right thing instead of just starting somewhere. Because when you start somewhere, and this is where we often ask, if you don't know what you want to create, what's fun? What if you add more of that to your life? Because when the fun starts and the joy starts showing up, you kind of get aware and allow yourself to know more what would be more fun for you. And you'll have more ideas. But if you wait to figure it out, that stops a lot of possibilities. And often you take a step, no matter which step, it changes.
Yes.
No matter which step. Even if it fucks you up, you'll know more than if you didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. And thank you for that.
I did a lot of that. Until I realized, I sat in my apartment, this is like 10 years ago, and I was like, oh, I'm really good at messing up shit. I'm really good at destroying my creations. I was like, oh, I'm like phenomenal at this. And so I was like, and I didn't judge it. I was like super impressed how amazing I create without understanding what I'm doing. But I could see my creations, how much I limit myself, how much I was willing not to have money, how much I was going to poverty and lack consciousness. And I was like, wow, this is fabulous. This is freaking amazing. And then I was like, oh, if I can be this amazing in limitations and lack, oh, I can be awesome if I start creating something different. If I just swap a little bit from that direction to that direction and not be freaked out because it's going to work kind of thing, I'm like, oh, this is good. And I just like swap the energy of the direction. I'm like, no, I don't need to fuck up my life all the time. I can choose something different. Okay. I know I can create, because that was more like it fell down. Like it was so clear. Okay, I can create. The rest is just bullshit. I'm creating shit, but I'm creating. So I acknowledged in that moment I was creating, because it doesn't matter if I'm creating shit. That doesn't maybe taste so good. So what happened in my world, I was like, oh, it's like an ice cream bar. There's thousands of flavors. I don't like all of them, but I was only creating the shitty flavors that I didn't like. And I was like, come on, let's do some more chocolate or whatever. And I was like, there's so many delicious flavors. It's just swapping flavors. And it became so simple in my world. but I acknowledge I could create.
Yeah, thank you. I will acknowledge that for me as well.
Thank you.
I can create shit.
Good, because all the judgments you have in place about your creations, all the projections of judgments, all the points of views you have gathered against you, will you destroy and uncreate that?
Yes.
Good and bad, right, wrong, fun, buck, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everywhere, the judgments of this reality, what's right and bad, and what's good at creation, what's successful. Can we destroy and uncreate all that?
Yes.
Oh, good and bad, right, wrong, fun, buck, online, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Because a creation is a creation, then we put the flavor on it. And if we don't judge that, you have infinite possibilities. And I can also say, this one you might have heard. If you're humanoid, and you wouldn't be on a creation call if you aren't, you would not come to this. Basically, if you get bored, you start destroying your creations. So be aware to have enough things going on so you're never bored. Because one of the things that happen, if something doesn't show up the way you'd like it or when you would like it, unconsciously start destroying it. And when you have a lot of things going on and you notice these things, you're like, you start, anytime I get bored, I can see how I almost automatically go and like, rah, 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 and I start destroying things. And I was like, oh, that's not necessarily. Or I start creating tons of a lot of more money. Then I start like, somehow I have everybody has like the rooftop of what you allow yourself to create. And when you hit that, you kind of start diminishing it again. And I was like, oh, that's hilarious. And things that are the most ease for me, those are often the things I also avoid. Not always, but then I'm like, oh, I avoid that. Whoa, oh, that would be so easy to make money there. I'm like, and then there's a proving point in me. I've noticed that I prove that I'm not creating for money, so I've made money somehow significant. I'm like, that's stupid. So why wouldn't I allow all the money to show up in my life that I could receive or that I could ask for? Why would I make money a problem or any point of view about it? And I could see in myself personally that I'd made this reality, it's all about the money. I'm like, I'm so bored of that, but I don't have to avoid receiving it. I can create from a different space, so it's fun for me. Get the difference? So, yes.
Something just popped for me, and that was really interesting. To create the money for. This is something I've never considered. And I'm really amused about this because that's how I function. I create the money for. And what a ton of crook shit that is.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd say that. So it would be very interesting to find create some questions around that, to get into, let's call it, the deeper layers of what's underneath it, really.
Well, basically, you don't have to go for that. You just start destroying and creating it and don't think too much about it. And also, are you willing to use that to your advantage, Claudia?
Yes. I was going to say how.
No, but it's okay to say how. Tia will try to eliminate the how, but we can use the how to our advantage in this. This is where, if I haven't let go of something and I'm aware of that and I'm working on it, I still look at how can I fool my brain? How can I use my limitation to my advantage? So if I have ease creating for something, well, fucking get the force in place that are really huge. So if I find
right now.
What?
Did you speak Japanese right now? I heard some noise, but
no, I didn't. But I'm not good at that yet. But if I'm looking at this, okay, so if I see, I have a talent of creating for. Okay, for is a limitation. Fine, let's destroy and uncreate that. While I'm destroying and uncreate that, well, I also see that need and tug. So fours are not always, they can be a limitation, but they can also be a possibility.
Yes, that's what I've talked to my brain about. This is a possibility, but I'm just realizing that this is the biggest lie I've been telling myself.
What if you don't tell yourself, but you allow yourself to have things you want to create that are super huge and big and fun, and you require a lot of money for it?
Yeah.
Well, I see that if there's anything I totally get super excited about, and I'm like, oh, I can't stop thinking about it. There's never a limitation in my universe in that moment when I have that energy. But I see that I sometimes choose projects or things that are still, I can kind of figure out it's possible, but not totally. So I have to be in the question. If I totally can figure out something, it's like so fucking boring for me. So I let it more. Somebody else can do that. So then I go to the things that I have never done that is different. So I basically challenge myself to be in the question because I can't figure out how to create it. Those are the most exciting for me when I don't know how.
I get that. And it's like a total blank right now. This is really amazing.
I love it. So if I were to bring the castle as an example that Gary chose to create, he sees the castle, it shows up during a weekend. He was facilitating in Copenhagen. I think it was Advanced Body Fest. Can't remember. During lunch, he gets a text from Emanuela in Italy. Hey, I found a castle. And he said sometime in a class, oh, he would like to have a castle in his lifetime. So Emanuela finds him a castle, sends him a link, and within a couple of days, he flies down and looks at this with the Bowmans and Jonas, and I don't know if somebody else was there. And he just gets, he goes through the rooms and just knows how it will look when it's done. And he chooses, yes, I'll have this. And then there was a long time of dealing price and willingness to sell and buy and all of that. And he never knew how he would create the money. He didn't know when he said yes. But when he definitely said yes and he got a prize, he looked at all the possibilities, asked a lot of questions, and at the end there was a lot of investors. He's like, oh, let's have investors to create this. So he wanted to create it. He didn't necessarily need to own everything of it. But I loved how he created. Like he said, yeah, all of you guys are allowed to invest, but I always have the last word. I love that. to the design and everything. Yeah.
I'm just aware now that as soon as we create something, we want to own it, like a possession.
Yeah.
And this is where something is really popping for me right now. Instead of it being fluid, infinite, moving energy, not to make it solid.
And what's the significance behind that we have to own? It has to be mine.
Yes.
And of course, also what's significant not to be mine. So I can just try and create all my points of views I have about owning things or not owning things. Because we can have a polarity of that. We can have both sides of it. I often didn't choose to own anything. I was like, oh, let's start owning things. And I was like, oh, that's a good practice for me because I didn't own things so much. It wasn't relevant in my universe. And then I said, oh, well, I seem to be doing that more, so let's just do the opposite and see what happens. And I was like, oh, this is a nice energy of owning stuff. I like this. I own my apartment, I own my horse and cars, and I like different things. I'm like, oh, and antiques, and I'm jewelry. I'm like, I like this. Before, it was more hassle owning things because I had to take care of things. It was hard, blah, blah, all these things that we have. And now I was like, oh, no, I can own more. So what else can I own? But it's not from I really need, it's important that I own it. No, not at all. Not at all. I will create anything with anybody and I don't need it, but I can definitely have it in my life. So have you heard the conversation about need and tug from Gary? Yeah. Did I freeze? No. Well, I don't know if there was a telecall and he's talked a lot about in the classes is this energy of needing things, not from lack. But I really require this in my life. So basically, we often avoid needs. And of course, it is from lack from the beginning. But then when you change that and you start like, oh, I really want this in my life. And you need it so you have more fun in your life. And that's when you have that energy, it's fun for you to have that in your life. I really require this. Oh, like just playing with things, you pull it into your life more. It's easier to arrive to you because you go, I want this. And I'd start doing that with jewelry. When I started my business, I was still keeping it small. I'm like, no, I need tons of jewelry. I need tons of diamonds. I'm like, hey, come on, this doesn't work for me just to have a couple. And when I had that, and it was super obvious, I really require a lot of diamonds. I like a lot, like not a couple, a lot. It showed up so much more. It goes like, boop, 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 boop. I'm like, whoa, this is easy. So I understood when I have needs to make my life more fun, it's easy to create. It's easy to show up, but from the fun of it.
Could you talk more about the 4, creating 4?
What would you like to know, Claudia?
For me, there's like a hook in my brain.
Yeah.
Can't describe it any other way. There's something that I'm holding on to that which doesn't even freaking belong to me.
Well, good. But you could also look at, hey, what definitions do I have about creation, for or against? And what does it mean to you to create for something? So anytime I look at like, because if I get some hooked up something, I look, what definitions do I have about this particular thing? Because then an energy shows up. Sometimes it's very clear, sometimes it's just an energy, and then like, okay, no, I don't require that. Let's destroy and create that. Good and bad, right, wrong, point, all nine shorts, boys, yes. I think everybody that I know, okay, some apart from very few people, they have some points of views what it means to create. Definitions, limitations, judgments, points of view. So they have definitions. Definitions include the judgments and the expectations and the projection. So if you're willing to know where you function from, it's really awesome to look at your definitions. But when I say look at it, I ask for it, the energy shows up. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes words or a picture shows up, but that's not necessary to change it.
Okay. I get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you. And this is the one thing I also look when you do Access and you learn the tools. Sometimes you know what's the right thing to say, the Access speak, but it doesn't mean that you're connected to what you're saying. You're not energetically matching what you're saying. You're not congruent to what you're saying. And this is one of the things that I see a lot, because I mean, you can learn very easily to say the right thing. But what I see is most people then are not willing to be aware of what they're saying or be aware of if it's really true for them what they're saying. Instead of like, oh, okay, that word is interesting. I use it. I mean, I see a lot of people. What was the thing I saw today? Duplicate. So in creations, for example, I had a conversation with a friend, and facilitators, this is what she said, say that they're duplicating the ones that are successful. I'm like, do they really know what duplicate means? Or for me, energetically was like, oh, they're copying the people that are successful. They're figuring out, they're trying to figure out what works so they can do the same, so they become successful. That's not duplication at all. But I was like, oh, creation is very interesting. People are really trying to figure out what's the right way to create so they become successful. I'm like, there's not a lot of questions going on there, and there's not a lot of questions to find out how it works for you. And the way how it's like, so you can create from your awareness, from your potency, from your talents, from your abilities. And sometimes you just need to try 1,000 of things so you get aware of what works for you. That's why I say, if you just try something and you move and you choose something, you'll get so much more aware. If you try to figure out what you don't like to figure out what you like, it's easy to get stuck in your head. When I started my Access Consciousness business with bars and then Facilitator, a certified facilitator, there was not a lot of people in Access at that time, and in Europe, nothing. So there was nothing basically to compare. And I'm very grateful for that. There were very few people active. So I thought, well, I have to try everything. Any idea I have, I'll try, because I don't know if it's good or bad. After a while, I got some awareness, and from that awareness, I could choose easier because I kind of like could look at it, but I had to watch out when I tried to figure it out if it would be good or bad. And very often, all of the things I look at creation are things I compute if it was going to work or not, instead of really just trying and playing with it and not having expectations. Because as I hear people like, oh, I did this, and nothing showed up. I'm like, yeah, and like, how does that work? So if I do something, I expect from my doing there to be a result, instead of looking, what can I be or do to create this? Because you'll get an awareness what's required. And I see a lot of people not willing to do or be that, what's required. And they want to have like 3 things to do. I ticked them off, I did them. It didn't show up. It doesn't work. I was like, what? I would never give up if it doesn't work once. What the fuck? There's thousands of other possibilities. Thousands. And that's it for me. It's like, I've noticed that it's so simple for me to look how to build up energies. Because when you build a business, you build up things. It's not like you do this and it has to show up. No, it's a time. Like you might need half a year to build up something that will be totally amazing. If you're willing, for me, this is the generating phase. So create is for me more like idea. Then there's an energy that goes on that is generating. You're actively engaging with it. And then there's the institution, what you do in this world. So it actualizes here. But I still keep generating. I still be in the question. I still engage with energy. I still like be there. And then there's all the to-do things that are 1,000 different things. But being in the question all the time will give you information what's required now. But not from, I have to do this, from like, oh yeah, let's try that. Let's have fun with that. And are you willing to engage with energies? Are you willing to engage with people to create? Or you have like, I can do this much. This is what works for me. The rest, I don't know. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's not a question. I'm like, wow. One of the things that happens very often when I do classes or facilitate things when it comes to creation of classes or businesses, what I see most people avoid is calling people. Calling and connecting with people without an agenda, without a result. And it's like, what is this?
Can I ask something, Lisen, about it?
Maybe. Yes.
Okay, I am asking. So today I just first time like just take the phone and call people, and it's really great. Like people are almost like they are just waiting to call them, and they are just waiting something to, hey, come on, they're just waiting it. And I did it, and it was great. It just like contributes me a lot. And somehow I just my energy is just like how can I say that? I get tired after like calling 7 or like 8 people, and I was just like, okay, I want to do that, but I don't want to do that. I want to do that but I am like little bit tired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
cool.
how yeah, because I do a lot of facilitation in the callings also, so
Me too. Always, almost. Well, not always, but a lot. So are you willing to facilitate for free?
I believe it's a yes, because I do that a lot. Like,
yeah, I'm just saying it because I'm trying to find if there's points of use behind it, because there's free things, a lot of facilitator things. So that's why I asked for free. For me, it's like But a lot of, what I often hear when people are calling a lot, I don't think it's you, but I just mention it in case somebody else is listening, is that people say, well, they get it for free, so they will not come to my class or have a session. I'm like, oh, if you only knew how amazing marketing is, that if you are generous, people know that of you. If you don't, like, I don't know how many clients I've had that say, I can't be calling people, it takes too much, I don't have time for that, or I have a business to run, or they won't come to my class. And I'm like, you have no idea about creation. You don't have idea how much that creates for you for the future. And it doesn't mean this person, it means everything connected to that. So Gary says this in all certified facilitator classes, call people. I don't know how many per day he says, I can't remember. When I heard it the first time, I'm like, yes, I love I don't know why. I really like calling people. I've done that since I was small. My parents didn't like it because I was always on the phone. They had a bill, but I mean, hello. It's good, but I can sit for hours and talk to people. I can talk, that's for sure. But for me, it looked like and this is where I look. I ask, who can I call? and names pop. If I have a list, I look at the list because I can have a list as well. Like if I have a class, I would love to call everybody or connect to everybody afterwards at some point. It doesn't mean I have to do them all by to be efficient, but I allow them to pop up within a week or two. Then I look at the, oh, that pops. It's an hour later. Now, okay, then I call. And I don't know how many times, as you said, they get super grateful. They're so happy. They're like, how did you know I was thinking about you? I'm like, I did not, but I asked that question, and I guess that works. I'm like, wow. And I've caught people in the worst like situations of their lives, and they would never pick up the phone and call me, never. And I just call them, and they're like, how the fuck did you know? I'm like, hey, you must have put something in my brain because you popped. It was just there clearly. I would call you. And then I experienced that a couple of times when you are there at the right timing for a person that is having a really shitty moment. And I don't mean just like a little bit shitty, really significant changing the life moment where it's like, it could go really bad. It came so clear. Ask a question, you'll know who to call. And I was like, since then, I trust that 100%. I don't catch everybody, and it's not my responsibility. That's also cannot be my responsibility. But I'm so willing to, if somebody pings, I call them, connect to them, and sometimes I chat with them. If I'm flying, I can't talk to people, so I start sending messages to all the people that pop. And once in a while, I had somebody projecting at me that I wanted to contact her to know if she's coming to a class, and I was like, I didn't even have that in my universe. No, I didn't. But she had it in her universe because she chose a different class. So she had something towards me. And I was like, that was funny. But I knew I didn't even I forgot even that she said that she might come to something. I'm like, I don't care. And it was so funny because that was her world. But that's very rare that happens. But it's when something's going on for them, especially if they feel guilty or something. Where I'm like, no, you can come. You don't have to come. It doesn't make a difference for me. But the calling has become a really gift for me, knowing I'm here to facilitate consciousness on the planet, not to get people into my classes. That's not my goal. It's not my target to get people into classes. I know that will happen. I know I will. I've hosted for years classes with Gary and Dane, and I was a constant calling with people. Sometimes I just asked them if they knew he was coming and all that, but otherwise I would call somebody, yeah, I wanted to ask you about this class, because everybody knew I was hosting as well. So I never needed to really confront them with that because they knew. But I was also active with all my clients, hundreds of clients, in weirdest ways, like on Facebook, on chats, calling, doing things. And it was just like they were alive. They still are. But it was like when I started getting it, how this is why I do this. I want to be in contact with people, and I want to give people the possibility here and there just so, hey, this is possible. And the calling thing I see is an enormous gift that is being avoided because people feel either they feel stupid or they don't know how, or they feel that they need to know why, or they're losing time, or they're missing people and clients, or they just feel uncomfortable. Oh, I don't know, I'll disturb them. I think maybe 3 people I've disturbed so far in 10 years. And then I have hosts that don't call people, and they say I can't reach them. I'm like, how do you do that? You must be really good at that. Because I reached basically almost everybody. Once in a while not, but I reach them because I ask when. Now, okay. Then I was like, oh, that's the energy against, to make it hard. But if you don't want to call, you don't have to do. And I'm like, don't do it. Like, if you don't like doing, don't do it. And this is the fun part about calling. Like, what if you had joy with it? And I was like, my phone hardly rings anymore. I was like, does my phone work? Before people were calling now you just text. You send texts or emails, but basically mostly chats now, and it's over quickly. And I was like, what is this where we avoid talking to each other? Why we're getting to that point? And I also see people also, it's almost like relax the social abilities, and almost like, because all of us know if we're together and chat and have a drink, or we just go for a walk, there's an amazing nurturing energy if you're having a person you like, of course, but we're going from that, no? And this physical thing, like having, and when I have somebody on the phone, I feel that I'm physically really connected to a person. If I'm chatting, it's an energy, yes, a little bit, but there's something that, and there's so much misunderstanding in communication. I'm like, oh my God, you would avoid so much so much in your business if you're willing to grab your phone. I was like, should I have a checklist before I get host? Are you willing to call? Yes or no? And everybody will say yes, but are you doing it? And it's like this energy where grab the phone. You'll see what gift you are through the world if you don't have an agenda, if you don't have a purpose. You can have in your world, you want to create more, you want people to come to a class. Don't have it as the why I'm calling you in your world, because that's kind of always there. But if you have it in your world, people are psychic, they perceive energies. I am very curious about people, so I often call people just to say, hi, how are you? And I get to hear people saying things, and I don't know, every time I talk to a person, I learn something. I get aware of something. I know some of my clients, when I called them, and especially when I was calling a lot when I was living in Sweden all the time, I was calling a lot of my clients because I had a lot here locally too. It was so funny. They would blah, blah, blah about anything. And in that moment, I get aware of something I required for another thing. They had nothing to do with it. But I said, thank you so much for saying that. That opened the door of that, what I was looking at, that I couldn't figure out. It wasn't working. And now I know. And they were just looking at me. I'm like, you're the greatest gift today to my world. And I called you and I'm so grateful. And they were like, okay. And I was like, but that's what a call can create in your world. Amazing possibilities for you. Amazing possibilities. And I know I will not stop talking about calling because that is something that I see a lot. So one of the things, if you don't have enough going on in your world, in your life, in your business, I have a couple of things that I usually do. I start clearing and asking questions like a lot, like intensely. I won't stop for an hour almost. I clutter clear my home. I throw away things that I don't like anymore, and I start calling people. And I usually go for a walk with my dog, extra long. And then I start calling people even more. And then I get the energies, emotion, and then it's just like, oh, there's a lot going on in my world. And those are the things I look at. Creation is non-linear, not controllable. It's a chaotic energy where you're not controlling it. And it's not chaos that it is when it's chaotic, it means it doesn't have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Doesn't have that. But that's what you want. You want to know if you did this, that happens. If you have done that, that should show up. You're freaking trying to be human in this human world. Ordered. Wah, 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 wah. A lot of companies are very ordered. If you get too much into the order, you sometimes forget that there's other possibilities. A lot of people create in business and bigger business and companies so much structure, so failure is being avoided, but also possibilities are being avoided, but they don't get that. It's more valuable to avoid problems or failure than to create possibilities. So how does it get any better than that? And what else is possible? What else is truly possible for you if you're willing to use all your energies and possibility to create your life? All your potency, because you are amazing. Any more questions?
Lisen, it's Vicky. I just want to ask, how are you?
Hi, good.
Thanks for doing those Zooms. I had a question for you. You earlier were talking about how you were doing bar swaps. I was just wondering, so you were saying that you weren't charging much and so on. Were you having people who never had bars before in your home?
No, I didn't have I did swaps for everybody that had tried bars.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You can do both. So this is where in Sweden, because we were so new, and so they heard you could do different things. So some people did this swapping where you invite new people to try it out. What I saw with that, or the comments people had, were the ones that were swapping, they don't often get to swap totally. Or they also were needed to gift, and then the swaps of them got smaller, like shorter. And this is, you have to find what, I always say, look what's most fun for you. Not efficient, fun. And what I did, basically what I started, because there was not so much bars going on, or 0 bars going on here where I live. So I invited everybody that had been to a class with me for free. And then at some point bars grew, so then we opened the doors to everybody. But it was basically a gift for everybody that had attended a class with me. So they would practice. Because the one thing I saw, a lot of people went to a bars class, they go home and don't continue. They try it out once or twice, and then their insecurity kicks in, or their doubt kicks in, and then they stop. And I was like, oh, but that stops the possibility of changing their lives. So I'm like, oh, I want to contribute to that one. This was about half a year after. No, I started in September. This idea showed up about in January or December, January, when I became certified facilitator. I went to Australia, and I was sitting there with my boyfriend at that time, and we started looking at possibilities. What could we do that was different? What would we like to gift? And one of the things we kept on seeing, we want to see what happens when people gift and receive bars over a longer period of time. And we were seeing that people were stopping after their bars class within a month or two, because they didn't really know, and they were insecure, and they didn't really get the points, and blah, 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 blah. So it was a lot of things, and bars wasn't common either, so nobody really knew about it. So, if you charge or not, it's really not important, and you can create this with charging, so don't go there. But it was one of the things we looked at, about, we don't need to charge. We're paying, we had a venue, we were paying monthly there with other people, and we just like, this can be fun. Yes, we'll have expense every second week because we bought snacks. We did a lot of fun stuff. And we organized that everybody had a massage table almost. It was a lot of coordination. I can say those bars were, oh my God, a lot of work. And I was fascinated. They were quite early coming. A mother and her stepkids were twins, girls. And I think they started coming when they were 12, I think 12 or 13. And they kind of got hooked on bars, these girls. They kept on coming. They came to almost every bars where they could come, especially if they were with a stepmom that we knew. Not always when they were the real mom, because they weren't always allowed, or they couldn't come, or things like that. But they made it very often. I got to see them until they were 16, 17. I still know them. I still see them. Now they're out in the working. One is hairdresser, another one I can't remember what she's doing. But amazing girls. They even came to a foundation class on their own. They were 15. There were 3 girls. There was one more. On their own, without their parents, for 4 days, and they were attentive, and they asked questions. They asked really, really sensitive questions. And I was just so amazed. But I know if we wouldn't have had these things, they wouldn't necessarily have come, because they get to know us. They got to know me and Jonas personally very well, so they knew they could come and be themselves. And I can say that's such a gift to I was like, follow them or see people change throughout years. And I was like, just that was enough of a gift to create that. And I see a lot of bars facilitators, certified facilitators, not doing bar swaps, where it could be such a contribution, but also to your business, because people will see that. I basically, my point of view about bar swaps was to facilitate a space, to create a space where people can come and swap bars. And I'm there for all the questions they have, all the insecurities, showing them the points. I had one facilitator saying to me, I was like, oh my God, she said to me, oh, but why are you showing the points again? Then they won't come to the next class. I'm like, I don't have a target that they should show up to the next class to learn the points again. I'm like, no. So I was like, no, I'll show them everything they need so they go out in the world and do more bars. And they can come for years to learn that, because they're insecure. They just want to be there. And I mean, the amazing engagement of people, and people got to know each other here. And people would drive 2 hours to get to our bar swap. So I was like, this is crazy. My world was totally crazy. And I was like, that's amazing. They really valued it. And they got new ideas. We did a lot of clearings. Me and Jonas, or when we were alone, we facilitate. We're not there to receive bars. We would do that the next day. Once in a while we were uneven, and then one of us had to jump in. But we both loved to facilitate. And that was one of the excels in the beginning. We wanted to practice as much as possible, because we knew when we practice a lot of facilitation, we'll get even more aware. We know we're not the best facilitators in the beginning. Of course not. I haven't practiced for years. So I wanted to practice as much as I could. And we were doing things every day, because I knew I wanted more awareness, what's truly possible. And one of the things was really the gifting and receiving the bars. I was like, that has changed me so much in a lot of ways, like looking at things and being there, contributing to them no matter what. And they got free facilitation. They didn't even have to pay for it. And we would provide them all with a lot of information, what's going on, access and new processes and all that. But you can create a really great business with bar swaps too. And it can create for something else for the future as well. But what if you were willing to give that possibilities for people that have learned bars to continue with bars? And I see that in so many cities that there's no bar swaps, especially where there's a lot of bars classes. And sometimes I wonder if facilitators want to do the classes because that's where the money is, and they don't want to do the swaps because it's very low money. But what if we didn't look at the money, we looked at the creation and allowing, this is the generating energy, allowing the energy to build up energy and being generous and willing to be there for people. And there were people that never got to other classes, and some people took years to come to the next class. And for me, it was never, one of my friends, close friends even, like he came to my first bars class, my first ever bars class. I don't know how long it took for him to get to foundation. But he said to me jokingly, "Lisen, I know, I'm slow. It took a long time to come to this class." And we were laughing together because I truly did not have a point of view. He should come now that he's done bars, he should come soon to a foundation class. No, some people took 3 years. They're clients to me and they just took a long time. But for me, it was never, that's the goal, they have to come to a foundation. For me, it's like, I have lots of possibilities, these classes, and then you can go to Dane and Gary, So I create this space of an invitation for everything. And I also know when you do show up at a foundation class, there's a lot that changes because there's just tons of tools there that create a foundation of possibilities. And Gary usually said, like, the first foundation class, you kind of get 10% of foundation. And when you repeat a couple of times, your world will change a lot. If you're willing to receive it, of course. Because some people go into like, I know that. So they're not in the questions, what else is possible with this tool? Even every time I facilitate anything, I look, how can I use this in a different way? What else is possible with this tool? What else can I ask? What other questions is possible here? So what are the things you're avoiding that could be an incredible, fabulous contribution to you and your business? Everything doesn't allow that. Can we destroy and create that? Good and bad, right, wrong, prim, pucker, all nice shirts, boys and beyonds. And every expectation you have what contribution should look like and how it should show up and what it should create, can we destroy and create that? Good and bad, right, wrong, prim, pucker, all nice shirts, boys and beyonds. Today in a conversation, a friend of mine pointed out, because I was like looking at things about creation, I was like, wow, why don't people get this? And it was like really just like, isn't this hard? Because sometimes my world becomes, of course, my world, and I sometimes also forget that people are not always there. And I've done it for 10, 15 years, not only Access, because I created before that too, but with Access tools, everything got so much easier. But then I was looking, maybe I should really have class, an online class, and do these month things where I love going deeper through my whole month. But I was like, maybe I should do a month where it's only about class creation and creating your business with Access and all that, because there's a lot of information and questions and possibilities we can look at. And if you're willing to start implementing them in your life and your business, you'll see new things showing up. Especially if you don't try to figure out what's the right way or try to copy other people, because you won't necessarily see the creation behind something when you're copying it, because you're not using your awareness, you're trying to copy somebody else. And that's where a lot of things go missing. I've seen that myself when people copy me or copy the way I try to do things or use my creation names and all that. And I was like, oh, well, it doesn't come from the same awareness. So if they would choose from their awareness, totally new things would show up for them. But that's often where we make ourselves less than somebody else, because somebody else is more successful than us. So everywhere you have defined you to be not as good or less than somebody else that you have defined as more successful than you, will you destroy and create that? Good and better wrong for all my shirts, boys and youngs. Because you have the amazing possibility to create something incredible for you if you're not willing to give up. Because it's also important that you don't give up on you or your awareness. And I often talk to a lot of people to get more ideas as well, and new things show up. There's always new possibilities for you. Always.
Thank you so much. I have one more question.
Over.
So I've been looking at how I can present the Access tools in a way that this reality can receive it.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the stuff I was looking in the niching or whatever. So,
Niching?
it's the one like the customer avatar. So you get a group of people like you actually sort of market it to. It's the way this reality does business.
Oh, you mean niche? Yeah, okay, yes, yeah.
Yeah, everyone has a different pronunciation for that.
Well, I took the German pronunciation. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And sorry, a doggy's drinking water. And they always participate, don't they? And another way I was thinking, okay, maybe if I were to do it, like if I were to do like, let's say intros or whatever, to market it to certain group of people, like stressed moms or whatever it is. And then I went, I know it's a lot of kind of head thing, but I find that this is something that's stopping me a lot. Then I was thinking, okay, how can I gear my website towards a certain thing? And I don't want to limit it because I'm an infinite being, I'm infinite space, and this is just too contracted for me.
So you needed a recent justification to choose it?
So I don't think I heard you.
Do you need a reason justification to choose it? I'm an infinite being. Of course you're an infinite being.
Oh, that. No, I guess I don't.
That was funny. It was just funny how you were like explaining it. But if you looked at it, so for me, it's like, would it be fun to talk to single mom? And then what did you say? Moms.
It's funny. I had a single mom thing too. Just it wasn't even where I was going with this. Moms? No, not really.
So why would you choose it?
I would like to talk to kids. I would like to hang out with kids and
that could be a possibility.
do it with kids. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I definitely have something for the parents too.
Yeah. Well, you kind of have to lure the parents in so the kids can actually participate, I think.
Maybe. But I wouldn't reason that way. I would be aware of, well, kids and parents, they are connected. So if you give the kids a lot of possibilities, the parents might want to know why the kids are changing so quickly.
Right.
And why like some of the tools and all that, because it creates more ease for everybody if they also know it. But I always looked like, yes, you can niche yourself. It's not a problem. It could be a great possibility. But if you do it from this is the right way of creation, I was like, yeah, but you're in this reality. Do it if you like to. But for me, that's just like, oh, well, that's boring. Okay, next.
I know. It really is boring.
Well, that's when something's boring, I know I won't create the most amazing thing. I coach a lot of people that go into different fields. And I have a friend that is not single, mom. She's definitely not single.
I guess most moms are single these days.
Well, she's not. And she's really happily married. It's really nice relationship. But she has an amazing ability with her kid and seeing the world differently. And she is different herself. And I said, that would be awesome to bring that out and everything else you're doing. She's like, yes, and I'll do that. And she's starting to create that. So I help her and coach her through that, how to create that and getting it out in the world. But for me, that's not important. I don't need a niche. I basically, if I would be niching, I was like, yes, creation, money, business, joy, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot. That's my niche, everything. But I don't do everything anymore, but I've tried to facilitate. I've done kids classes, I've done parenting classes, I've done dog classes, I've done body process dog classes, I've done almost anything just to try out things. But I'm one of those things, I'll just try everything all the time. And that becomes the fun energy for me. I don't have to niche to become successful. I did try all that just before I found Access, and it fucked me so big time that I did not know how to do that. So to get 3 things that you're good at and build your business on that, don't have 10, 20 things on your website because nobody will understand what you're doing. I'm like, okay. And then I couldn't figure out how to move forward with that because that was so, like, I felt so close into something. And then Gary told me 15 to 20 income streams. And I was like, what? What? Yeah, ask for that. You need more things in your life generating more income so you can't control your income. And I'm like, oh. From that day on, I started adding more things. Yes, Vicky?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, I've been trying to do this for like 4 years, all this stuff, and it's just not working for me to contract myself like that.
So go where it's fun, and don't. You can learn all different systems and all the business stuff and all that, but really, if something doesn't work for you, you're gonna fight it anyway. So just don't do it in that moment. Then
I don't have the joy of business with that stuff.
just don't do it. Find the way it works for you that it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start that. I want to do that. Okay, do that. Like, go for it.
Okay, so this is another point of view that I have, is that since you guys are facilitators, it's easier for you, like certified facilitators. It's easier for you because you guys can do classes on anything you want to, really bring out different programs and so on. And not that I'm not, well, I guess I'm going to say, if I'm going to say I'm not, then underneath it was I'm limited. I'm limited.
Yes, you're so limited, Vicky. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I will have a moment and think about you and your limitations.
I know. Well, actually, it's funny because the way I'm just saying this out loud, and I'm like, okay, who am I lying to here?
I know, but the
I'm
funny
just going
part
to
is
shut
you
up.
started laughing. You found it really funny. You were more joyful when you talked about the limitation. I'm like, yeah, you don't even believe what you're saying. Like, yes, I get that, because when you're certified facilitator, it's basically also so you have a different awareness. You have gone through a lot of things. You have practiced a lot of facilitation and all that. So that's why you still have to apply to get your programs through and all that. But as a bar facilitator, if you want to facilitate a lot of different things, you really just have to attend a COP to have the possibility to do any topic of intro for 4 hours. That's a simple way of creating a lot of possibilities.
Yes.
And if you haven't done that, you can still have interest about bars and the bars tools or anything in the bars. Pick one tool in the bars and you're allowed to facilitate that as an intro. That's what I did in the beginning. I was very limited. I didn't know that I was limited.
Yeah, I also have the body processes I can teach.
Oh no, you do? No. That's not okay, Vicky. That would be too many possibilities for you.
I know, you see, I can't even handle the bars. I'm just kidding.
You have more possibilities than when I started.
Okay. Thanks.
But you have to put your energy somewhere you want to create, not what you cannot create.
Yes.
That's what they're for and against. This is really a fun example. I can't help that. No, but you can do all of this, and then you can create so much money and have fun with this, and you can create bar swaps to create more bars classes and blah, 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 blah. You have so many possibilities. People are funny. But this is when you get to the point where you want to look at your way of limiting you can almost have fun with your limitations and see, hey, how can I create from this? What possibilities are really here? So, but if you can also get stuck, and sometimes you do want to have a session to look at something from the energy of possibilities and go for that. I did everything to get out of my limitations and not get stuck in them. And I knew I had a lot of them. I had gathered quite a few. I was quite potent. So he used potency against you. And I was like, I'm not giving up until I change all of this shit. And I still create more and still don't give up and still want more. And I was like, And anytime I'm the global coordinator, I was like, I can't find the words for the two Bowmans, for Stephen and Teresa Bowman. And the fun part of that creation is every time we set up a class, my world changes in looking at that class and that title, and it's like, and the next one is about wealth and things like that. I'm like, what else is here possible for me? What am I not looking at? What am I not choosing? And it goes like boom, 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 boom all the time. And this is where I love being part of a lot of creations, because I get a lot of awareness. And the creations are super different everywhere. And I keep on getting, it's so funny because I'm very open to different possibilities and projects. I get a lot of offers of working with different things. I say no once in a while of things I don't have time, where I don't get that it would be the most fun, or it just doesn't work in this moment. Then I say that, and I'm open for the next one. And I don't try to figure out if this is going to be the one that works for me or makes me most money or blah, 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 blah. And people judge that a lot, instead of seeing everything is like, for me, like a trampoline, bouncing me to something else, getting me to look at new things and create more. So it's interesting. What if you were truly willing to create and have fun with that and allow the universe to contribute with everything? I do a Zoom about quantum entanglements, and a lot of other things where you basically work with the energy of things instead of only head tripping. That could be very interesting. I've done one, I don't remember if this was English or German, about that, about the magic of creation, about every molecule can contribute to you and your creations, like every molecule around you and you and everything. But if you would really realize that that is possible and exists, there would be not as many limitations, I guess, that we make real. I'll do some more fun. My molecules are dancing right there. That's awesome, Vicky. I love that. I love that. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I love these Zooms. I just have gone a little longer too. I really just love creating and looking at creations because I get also a lot of awareness, and I love contributing for anything you'd like to create because it's just fun. The world needs this fun energy of creation. And I was like, hey, what if everybody that wants to contribute and create a different world also willing to do it? And I'll see what else I can contribute and create with you. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope to see you in the future and see you online or wherever we meet. Bye.
Thank you, Lisen. Thank you.
Guys. Thank you.